and welcome to Gears of Trust. I'm your host, Maynard T. Bear. In the studio today, I have a friend of mine, Jeff Bisney. We'll get to him shortly. I just want to bring everybody up to speed as to what's happening with what. So, we're moving into November of 2025. This episode is going to be going to air in about a week's time. So it's the 4th of November today. So it's 7/11. By November the 11th, we should have this to air. Going to be a real interesting episode. What's going to happen in my social media world for those following me? My Facebook is going to change quite a bit. My Facebook channel is going to be changing to technical tips. You'll get some opus clips of what I've got going on a podcast intermittently, but you're going to see a greater frequency of tips in the workplace that correlate with my speaking initiative plus my book. So that's going to change on that format of social media. Instagram will follow suit with that. TikTok, I'm probably going to drop TikTok by Christmas altogether. I'll be putting up another YouTube channel. It'll be called Maynard Online. That'll be about the workplace, teammates, and all kinds of cool stuff. Next thing is going to be LinkedIn. You're going to see a stronger profile on LinkedIn in relation to, once again, teamwork and team building. With my last social media, be X and Truth, we'll just follow along with that. So we'll be posting a great deal of that. That's just kind of me keeping in tune with the world. That's that for that. Now, cool things that I've been developing, an app. I've actually developed an app now. It's still in the development stage on how you can do a personality assessment on the person you're working with, or anybody, as a matter of fact, what's called that will enable you to work with colleagues within the workplace, get an idea as to what they're about and how to interact with those people as well. Once I've got the development stage of that phase beat, I have another stage that I'm going to put in with that app, which is a self-assessment system. So to assess your coworkers, there's a series of 8 observations that you made. To assess yourself, we're talking a series of 60 questions. And this all correlates with the Myers-Briggs personality assessment profiling system. So those are the cool things I have on the go. That being said, everyone's updated. Once again, YouTube followers and TikTok followers, and I think Instagram's up to 8,000 or 9,000 followers. I don't know, somewhere around there. I really don't follow followers. If you follow me, great, thank you. If you don't, great, thank you. This episode today, however, is from a newfound friend. I'm working in BC with Elk Valley Resources, and Big Country is a company I'm working with now, so I'm no longer with Maynard Mining. And I met Jeff in the EVO shop in Elk Valley, right downtown Sparwood, as a matter of fact. And he's got a phenomenal story. So, Jeff, how about you introduce yourself to the fans here?
Thanks, Maynard. Yeah, hi, I'm Jeffrey Pisoni, 34-year-old guy, electrician up at Elkview. And yeah, I mean, just a kid who didn't really know which way he was going to go, decided to get into a trade. Got into a lot of commercial in Calgary, got into some residential, did some flyout jobs throughout Alberta and Saskatchewan, and ended up kind of coming back to sort of where I was from and applied to the mine once I got my red seal, and we ended up getting it. And, you know, that's kind of the career now. Is I'm an industrial electrician for Glencore. Love my job. And that's a little intro to me, I suppose. I also I'm a ex-skateboarder and aspiring drummer currently. Singer too, a little bit.
So for listeners out there, I met Jeff. I was working at Elk Valley in their new shop, working on a haul truck, fixing whatever. I don't track that stuff anymore. And I saw Jeff come across the shop floor heading in one direction. He had kind of a hobble to him. And I stopped Jeff up and said, "Man, yeah, you must be an old mechanic. Too young to be an old mechanic, man, but that looks like a mechanic's walk to me." And I complimented him on his mustache, which I fucking still love his mustache at this moment. I do. And if you check out my speaking website, which is www.maynardtbear.com, for talks on stage, I do curl my mustache for them. Man,
very nice.
I just love Jeff's mustache.
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation starter for sure.
No kidding, man. Yeah, not a lot of guys do that, and all the guys can make it look right too, but they do a good job with it. But that when I questioned Jeff about being a mechanic hobbled across the floor, he told me quite a story, and I'm going to ask Jeff to kind of start right at that point there. So,
Fair. Yeah.
once you
So
me why you hobbled and you weren't a mechanic, well, where did the hobble come from, or where did
yeah, the hobble, it's been developing. It's getting worse. Some days it's good, some days it's really bad. In 2021, September 2nd, it was like day 3. I was currently on the shovel crew at the time, and it was right kind of in the heart of like COVID era, and they had some sea cans at the top of the claim to go in and kind of get a swab test. And so day 1 and 2, I was in there, did the swabs, nothing came back. They let me go out to site, and then on day 3, had to do it again, and that test came back whatever, not, and it was basically negative test. So they had to send me home.
yeah, they call it non-positive or something, wasn't it?
Pardon?
Was it non-negative? Yeah, it's
That
called
essentially, yeah, it was a non-negative kind of deal. So they were like, hey, flagged me, called me up, and removed me off site. I had to go out to Pincher Creek, kind of a town not too far from where I'm living in the Crozes Pass, to do the test, just because they're the only place that was really available. That one came back like conclusive that I have COVID, and so like this point in my life, never had any like injections, never was poked. Kind of had this idea of it that like, whatever, I get sick, and anyways, go home that night, and kind of had to start the isolation process. I stayed out of the house, and my girlfriend Megan, she literally made me this little quarantine area in one of the rooms in her house, and made it up. And she kind of texted me like, hey, get your ass in here, and there you go. So kind of went in there. We took it really serious. My girlfriend is a paramedic, so she needed to really get all her ducks in a row as well. So it was really by the book, the way that I had to do the isolation. Woke up the following morning, and my taste completely was gone. It happened really quick. I remember like she made me a breakfast, and it was just the weirdest texture, and I was like, oh, I think my smell is gone, like taste, everything's gone. Laid up in the room, got extremely sick, like fatigued, very clouded, like just through the days, like my conscious was just extremely clouded. Like I just felt like a haze over me, and very lethargic. I'd try to get outside when I could, and walk around, and lungs weren't really bugging me at that point, but it's just like my muscles just felt so fatigued all the time. So spent just like the 2 weeks fully in this room. Megan took care of me, she fed me, all that, kept really good hydration, and I'm a pretty physical guy. So during everything, like I wasn't just laid up in my room doing nothing. Like I was stretching around, doing what I could, trying to move the body around, because like you stay stagnant for too long, especially when you're an active person, like that's when things can start to kind of get sore. So I was like, you know what, so that all happened, and I was scheduled to do an operation, and the clinic that had called me, they were like, well, you have to go and get tested again to see if you come back and it's still non-negative, we cannot operate on you, kind of deal, right? So went out to Fort Macleod. That was the closest place I could do this test again. So this is like 14 days after I was just laid up, extremely sick, taste gone. Get out to this hospital in Fort Macleod, and as I'm walking in, a gentleman and his wife were kind of walking out of the hospital, and she complimented me on the stash, and I said, thanks very much. And after that interaction, it almost felt like I got electrocuted. Like I've been poked a few times in the trade.
Yeah.
And so it kind of felt like I was electrocuted, like right on my tailbone. It was just very quick, just zap, and it kind of caught me off guard. And I was like, oh, that was kind of weird.
Kind of like an AC voltage zap, or like a DC voltage?
More like an AC kind of
Buzz thing.
Yeah, just a little stinger, and it kind of like it kind of just went up my back, kind of down my leg a little bit, and I was like, that was kind of odd.
Yeah.
Didn't think too much of it, and went in, got another swab done, and it happened again. And it happened again. And as I'm just walking back to my truck, it just kind of continued to just like these little pokes here and there. Sat in the truck, and I'm starting to drive home now. And as I'm sitting, it happened again, but it like lasted for maybe about like 2 seconds this time. And like my legs, my ass cheeks just tightened up, and it was just like, what is happening? Like something was going up. Something weird was happening to me. Get home, talk to my girlfriend about it, and we kind of just decided like, well, maybe something's out in your back. You just gotta start stretching it. So I lay down and I start doing these heel touches back and forth. Do those for about 30 seconds, and then I had to use the bathroom. I had to take a piss, so I stood up, and as soon as I stood up, I felt this like pop in my lower back in that same location where I kind of was feeling these electrocutions in a way. And all of a sudden, it's just this inrush of cold and heat throughout my inside of my legs, the outside of my legs, through my knee, stabbing pains all the way down to like my feet, essentially. And my legs kind of went inward, like the knees just buckled right in on me, and everything just tightened up. And my muscles started spasming, and I ended up just falling, just keeled right over.
Wow.
And getting shooting pains up my chest as well. Like while all this is happening, I just couldn't get my feet underneath me, and it was excruciating. Like it's very hard to describe what was happening, but it was just a very acute nerve flare up, and muscles just didn't know how to react. Megan ended up dragging me into our toilet, or to the bathroom, sorry, and I was able to pee. We went to the shower. And then from that point, we went straight to the hospital and kind of laid up, and they started, nurses did what they could, asking questions. Or, really wasn't much they could do. They put me on an IV of sorts for like pain, which I was reluctant to doing. I'm really not keen on doing that type of therapy.
Yeah.
They ended up getting some MRIs expedited. They even offered me a room that day in the hospital, and I declined it. At that time, I just felt like maybe my ego was too big, and I'm just like, it can't be that crazy. Absolutely not. Like there's people that are probably way worse shape. Like I don't want a bed. So kind of went home, and we trying to figure out the best position for me to be in because basically any position I was in at this point, like if I was just sitting on my ass, it would happen. Like my legs would try to go in, muscles cramping, stabbing pains everywhere. Found the best position was like flat on my back with my legs elevated up at like a 90.
Yeah.
And that was basically it. My legs had to be shoulder width apart. I couldn't have one in and one out. Like it was very specific. And we had this old chair in the living room at the time. It was like a Chase, like an older style chair where it's like a single bed that kind of has this whoop-de-woo. And anyways, that was my home. That was it. Like it was a big shocker. I couldn't believe what was happening. And it was kind of just like that was the beginning of just like this waiting game and trying to just come to terms with why this is happening. Like what the fuck just happened to me,
Yeah.
It's
kind of hard to get your head around it, really, right?
It was very
quick, eh?
Oh, it happened extremely quick. Very hard to point at what exactly happened. Very hard to process everything. And when I'm home now, they sent me home, and they sent me up with a pretty high dose of gabapentin. They had me on like T3s. Basically just nerve blockers and high pain medication. And then they also gave me a stomach pill. Because those medications can be bad on the stomach. So sorry, my dog must sense a deer outside. Sorry, he's barking.
Okay, dogs will be dogs, right?
Yeah, he's guarding the property. It looks like an Amazon pickup, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. Got a card pretty heavy from the Amazon guys.
Oh yeah. So I mean, that's kind of like that was like the beginning of just everything. Kind of try to keep it as short as I can. But in a nutshell, that's kind of what I was experiencing. And I had to get comfortable in this position, and it was basically just like what does a guy do? You just kind of sit there, and it's hard not to just fall into like that dark spiral of pointing the fingers at everything and everyone, and the finger ultimately comes back to yourself, and you start really reflecting on yourself and the choices you've made, and you just question a whole bunch. And I mean that those first, I would say, 4 months, hands down, so far in my life, the hardest thing I've ever had to just accept. And I'm still to this day struggling to accept a lot of the smaller details, but through this time, these 4 years, I have found a lot of things that in moments in my life that have just kept this light growing, and it's something I'm very open to share with anybody, hate it or love it. For me personally, just communicating is a huge portion of getting through our day-to-days,
Yeah. I did, ironically, so you went down in September of 21, and
Yep.
Halloween of 2021, I was admitted for COVID in the hospital here in Fort Mac.
Oh, yeah.
And I was laid up for a week. I'd done the tough, hairy-ass mechanic thing. I was fucking working in town at the race shops, auto mechanic / heavy. So it was getting crazy at site where everybody had to wear masks. You had to have a guy in the back seat adjacent to you, couldn't be directly behind you. We used to call that driving Miss Lazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The guy in the back seat. And so anyway, we a couple of guys got picked off. I was contract with KMC, and a couple of guys got picked off for adjacent seating to people who had COVID on the diversified bus going to the site. So they were given 2 weeks off, and then one guy was out of work for 8 weeks just because he sat in the wrong seat.
Oh, wow.
And the seats were allocated by the bus driver. They had a machine on there that would select seats as people boarded. They recorded where you sat.
Oh, wow.
Well, I wasn't playing that game, so I went to town as an auto mechanic, right? I went to town as an auto mechanic, and I was doing speed shop stuff, engine builds, deletes, lift kits, and all that. And my grandson brought me COVID. He was
nice.
Grampy he was my apprentice, and it was a mom and pop shop. And Grampy got a lot of sick. I fought it for 9 days, and I just couldn't breathe anymore. So the wife said, "Okay, are you ready to give up?" And took me in for my test at the hospital. We did it at the Shoppers Drug Mart the night before, and I was clean. Went to the hospital, and then he threw me upstairs immediately.
Oh, yeah.
And I was doing during Omicron, that wave that came through.
Okay.
And I put the COVID board up in Northern Lights here in Fort Mac, and I was the only guy in the ward. Got it all myself.
Oh.
Yeah, and I had all kinds of little nursing students come in and poke and prod me every hour on the hour type of thing. Yeah, it looked like a pincushion. Laid on my back for a whole week watching Davey Davis tow trucks off the Coca-Cola. Well, that, I had a strange, when I got out of there, I had a strange desire to run a wrecker with a rotator for some odd reason.
Yeah, weird, yeah.
Yeah, weird. It's a little bit. But for me, the next 2 years consisted of muscle cramps. I would, in my rhomboids or my back would just all of a sudden knot up. My legs would knot up. Pain going up and down shovel ladders at the end of 14 days is, oh man, it's unbelievable. But like you said, when you're lying on your back, you get lots of time to think. Is what you do, and we look inward pretty hard, and you say, well, wow, what did I do wrong there? How am I going to pull her out of this one? And my wife was terrified, absolutely. Like Debbie was just beside herself with me lying there. And after day 4, she was allowed to come in because I went through 9 days. It was after day 5 she was allowed to come in, and
okay.
she was exposed to me for 14 days. 14 days was magic thing after that. Once she got set by my bedside for the next 3 or 4 days there, she was a lot better. But I would say it was harder on her than me.
Oh.
But that being said, it brought to realism a finite ability in my body and my muscles, because being on shovels, and like everything's physical, and you think nothing of climbing 124 steps and forget to go back down again. yeah, that was a normal practice the run of a day. And now when you're going up 20 steps, you're feeling every one of those steps. When you load up with tools, that again. That's more powerful.
Absolutely.
So that put you in a dark, dark place, but you have moved away from that dark place quite.
I have, yeah. I mean, it
So,
was just, I have, yeah.
so take me along your journey there. So what, like you had said something pretty powerful that your body was kind of like a ping pong ball, right? Like you're
Oh,
different
yeah.
from one extreme to another. Like what were you talking about there, Jeff?
So, yeah, when I mentioned like my body felt like a ping pong ball, that was, so I would say roughly like a full year kind of after all of this is said and done and I'm laid up. I ended up returning back to work, and I'll just kind of the things that started kind of when I started feeling like a ping pong ball was actually after I'd got back on my feet. Started feeling I was getting these pleurisy attacks. Basically, my heart, I would get heart attack like symptoms while I was on site, and I had to accept. And the doctors were telling me that it's just a pleurisy attack, like the fluid surrounding the heart is inflamed, and
Yeah.
you're just gonna have to, you're just having like your arm just goes numb and you just have these stabbing pains. It's just something that you just have to deal with. They gave me medication. My stomach, I started developing like irritability to a lot of foods, and kind of went through specialist and was found that I have like they labeled it as post-COVID IBS.
Yeah.
Also started developing sort of like a slight bit of asthma and went
But
to like
you were ingesting a substantial amount of medication though too, right?
sorry.
Through when you got IBS, you were digesting a substantial amount of medication, like pharmaceutical.
Potentially. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, ultimately, what I've had to accept is that when like COVID just completely destroyed like my immune system, every part of it. And you know, the big part of our immune system is our gut biome, like our stomach itself. And so, for the first like, I'll go back quick to kind of like where I'm at in my chase. You know, we ended up getting an MRI and we find that there is like a inverted like herniated disc between my L4 and L5, and there's some things going on with the lower back that were likely there for a little while, but the bulge was kind of, we don't know about that, like this herniated portion or whatever, and the location of the hernia is unlike a lot of like your frequent ones. Like usually the fluid will protrude out to the back of your spine or to the side of the spine, and doctors will say walking and gravity will pull it back into itself, and they actually encourage it. For me, it was a little bit different because it was actually going downward, so gravity was my enemy. So that's why like we found that position with my legs elevated up, allowing gravity to pull everything back down was what was helping. And through these images, sorry, my dog's just, he's getting curious. Through these images, started going to physiotherapists, and they're really focusing on just my lower back. They look at the image and they say, "Okay, Jeffrey, we're going to do exercises to fix this part of your back." And I'm doing them. I wanted my will to get back out of this state is the highest it's ever been, and I'm just trying everything to just get back on my feet, because I mean I'm in a walker at this point. Yeah. Like basically was in a walker for 7 months, graduated to trekking poles, but the physiotherapy wasn't really helping.
I found it was coming from being a skateboarder too, right?
Potentially. So, I mean, as a
skateboarder before COVID, correct?
I was, yeah. I've been skateboarding. I started skateboarding when I was 12 years old. But so, in that part of skateboarding and stuff, like I was, like I said, a very fit kid. Like I would go to the gym, I would stretch, I took care of my body. I was reading interviews of pro skateboarders and learning that they're doing like ice baths and finding the tricks that they're doing. So yeah. I mean, I stayed fit and never really had any of these mobility issues previous to all this kind of happening. But the image is there, and it could be from skateboarding, it could be just from living. It was something that I allegedly was going to have to deal with. They just said that it was expedited because of what has happened here. Cool. So with physio,
could you take a shot?
I got 1 round of Pfizer. I would say about a month after I was in the hospital. I was just terrified, and at this point too, And just to clarify as well, you said the Omicron is what you had. It was Delta that I had. I was positive for the Delta. Yeah, the Delta strain of COVID. That's kind of what I had.
Yeah.
And I did take a shot because at that time government was getting crazy. Like you couldn't even go in to a restaurant without having like verification and shit. So it's kind of like, and on top of that, I had got to this level without having that shot. I was so scared if I got COVID again, like what the fuck else is going to happen to me? Like it's getting in my head that goes like, you know. So I did. I took one shot of the Pfizer just to kind of be okay to go out in public in my walker. And that was about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the physiotherapist wasn't really helping. I was going to acupuncture. I was doing a lot of like traditional Chinese medicine, like cupping, a lot of needling. With physiotherapy, I was doing a lot of dry needling, and this is going on for about like, 5-ish months. And my acupuncture lady, she actually had a moment with me because I was in there about every week, getting needled up and cupped and stuff. And she says, you know what, Jeffrey, I know a lady. She's from Calgary. She's a sport therapist. I think you would benefit from meeting her. And, she shared me her phone number and email, and I get a hold of this lady. She asked me to send me my images. I gave her the full go ahead. I sent her everything that I had. And she messaged me very soon and was like, Jeffrey, you have a very interesting case of certain things that are wrong with your back. She says, I want to meet you and I want to help you. And meeting Andrea, that's her name, she completely changed my life. I went there for the first time. We had a meeting up in her place in Blairmore, and it was unlike any appointment I've had up to this point with either with the physiotherapist. She says, you know what, I don't care about your images. I want you to just walk around my house. I'm gonna ask you to look some stuff. I just want to see you move. Like just get moving. And moved around for a while there, about a few hours, and she's poking and prodding, and she determined outside of my back, she says, your hips and a lot of your muscles throughout your hips and your legs are not in good shape, and we need to address these before we even consider your back anymore. And that was the thing that really changed a lot for me. She put me on this program that was like a lot of physiotherapy on the hips, a lot of dynamic stretching, mostly just stretching and working my core, and specifically to open up my hip flexors and my hip and my glutes. And as I started doing this, I was finally getting some relief. I was getting stronger. And it was shortly after, it was probably about my third appointment with her, is when she manually kind of did a bunch of things to me. Like she was taking my legs and bending them in spots that were so uncomfortable, but I trusted her. And, oh, it was bad. She had this one time, she put these cups on my back and she'd get me to lean over, and then she'd get me to try to straighten up. And as I was straightening up, she'd rip these cups out of my back.
Oh yeah. Yep. Out
of body kind of experiences. Like it's such an interesting type of pain, and it was something so new. I was embracing it. I was like, you know what, whatever it takes, let's go. She asked me to go for a walk that day, and I get outside with the walker, and I actually let go of it, and I said, I'm going to try to walk here, and I was able to. My feet were completely parallel walking, and it was a crazy moment. And that really took a turn for me, and I just continued doing exactly the program that she had me on, and eventually got rid of the walker probably a week after that, and I started using these like trekking poles, like what you'd use for hiking or whatever, right? Hiking poles. There you go. And so I just continued doing this program that Andrea had me on. And I was starting to get results. I'm starting to walk around. I'm feeling pretty cool. I'm out of this, and I know there's a long way to go, but a light was reignited at this point in my life, and it was just an incredible thing.
So that's big, man. You go from incapacitated to getting rid of the walker and grab a set of trekking poles. Huh? That's fucking major. How long time frame was that? Like, so what part from the time frame? So from September 21, 2021?
Yeah, so September 21, and then I would say up until about April of 22, is like that was like all in the Walker.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and then that was pretty much Walker, between Walker and the poles, and then there was the poles pretty much up until even when I did return to work at home, I was still using them. I was, but got to a point just in like the end of April, kind of beginning of May there. I had this moment. I had this incredible moment that I'd like to share about the will that I got. Like I got this extra sense of accomplishment and will, and it all kind of started. My girlfriend, paramedic, she was on her day 2 or something, and she comes home from site, and she's staring out of our living room window. And the house that we have is on a pretty steep hill. We have just about an acre of property here. House sits about halfway up the hill, and she's looking out the window, and I'm looking at her, and she kind of turns her head, and there's just tears just running down her eyes. And I was like, "What's going on? Like, is everything okay?" And she was just completely distraught about the fact that like it's like spring cleanup. It's like it's like May. We got to start prepping to cut our lawn, and we have a lot of trees in the yard, and there's all these sticks everywhere on the lawn. Hey, and she says, I got to go pick every one of those fucking sticks up. Got to do this, and then I got to prep, and I got to trim trees, and then I got to take we have a Craftsman ride-on lawnmower that I would use to get down on. And she's terrified of operating it, and she's just panicking because she's like, I got all this stuff to do. I'm laid up. She was very accepting of where I was at. And, anyways, I seen how much it hurt her, and I'd never seen her in that state of just being distraught. And so she left the following morning, and I told myself, Jeffrey, you were gonna go up and pick up every one of those fucking sticks. So you're gonna do it, like no matter what. And
no matter if
I get out. Pardon me?
No matter if it kills you. Yeah.
Basically, I says, you know what? I want to see a smile on my girlfriend's face, because like, and if that's something that might bring it, I'm gonna attempt it, and no matter what. And I did. I went to my yard and started at one section of it, and I'd go to one stick. I would just slowly I'd squat down, I'd pick it up, come back up, and I told myself I can do this. And I just went down the hill and picked up every stick. It took me what would have probably taken me, previous to maybe like I probably could have got her done in an hour if I was giving her. Yeah. And when I was completely healthy, and it took me roughly 6 hours to get down and up. And I had this pile of branches and stuff at the top by my shed. And it was at that moment, like when I dropped that last stick, I had this sense of accomplishment that it took me back to like maybe getting my first goal as a hockey player or landing my first kickflip as a skateboarder. It was just this inrush of selfless like emotion and accomplishment, and I wanted that moment to last forever. And that was a huge turning point.
From there, you started rebuilding.
Yes, absolutely. That was the moment where I says, you know what, I can accomplish something physically, and out of the comfort of this chase chair and out of the comfort of these sticks, like I can independently, there is things I can do. And that moment just really, really, I live off that moment to this day. When I get in the really big deeps, I just remember that story of my sticks, and I picked them all up, and that's something I go to all the time, throughout times, because this is a process. I'm still dealing with a lot of things, and like you saw me there, like there's days I have even a worse limp than you saw me there, Maynard, and there are days that it's really good. I
saw you coming across the floor, and I saw myself and you, and I said, man, this guy's too fucking young to go like this.
Especially being an electrician up there.
There's mornings that take a while for Crampy to get fucking.
Not to give us a bad rep, a lot of guys think that we don't do a lot of work out there. Electricians, we do a lot of stuff. We do crawl around the spaces we are pretty physically demanding, but maybe not as much as the mechanic. I'll give you guys that.
Almost kind of like hot yoga in the morning, eh?
Well, no, it is like that. I start my job at 7 a.m. I'm off at 7 p.m. And during my work days, I wake up at 4:10 between 4:10 4:15, and I get up and I instantly do about a 30-minute to 45-minute routine of just like dynamic stretching, trying to get the abs activated, and that's been part of the process too.
You're doing all kinds of things on top of that too. You're doing inversion tables, hot tub.
Yeah, I do pretty much tubs every day. Hot tubs pretty much every day, more or less like hot baths. I don't own a hot tub. It's just like a hot bath basically with Epsom salts, a lot of magnesium.
Yeah, Epsom salts.
Cold plunges about once, maybe every 2 months now. I kind of been falling off of those. Saunas, I get a lot of relief in the saunas. I even do my routine in the saunas.
Yeah. Do you have a dry sauna at home?
No.
Dry sauna at home?
No, not yet. It's in the process. We're getting there. I'm gonna have one.
yeah, absolutely. So that brought you up looking to picking sticks. From that, so how did that translate from picking up sticks to drumsticks? Tell me about your association with drumsticks.
So the drumming started around, I would say, January, February. I'd like to say around like February, March-ish. Being cooked up as I was, like, before COVID, before I was physically just capacitated there, if I was having a bad day or something was up in my life, my release was skateboarding. That was my thing, even if it was just pushing around on a street, just being on that, and just allowing all my emotions to come out on my board. That was it was a critical part of my life and just my process of everything. Now I'm laid up and I can't even think of it. Like, no, there's not even a chance. And that really played a toll on me because I was very isolated in that art. Growing up as a kid, I was into a lot of sports and I performed very well in the sports. Family life, they never could afford to put me in any of these sports. So skateboarding was one of those things that I was actually given my first one, and it was a more affordable choice of anything. And then on top of that, it was this sport that it's like me versus me and this board. It was just so intriguing to me. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And I did. I sheltered myself away from teamwork, and playing a sport. And all of a sudden you can't do the thing that you've done your entire life. When things hit the fan, when shit hits the fan, I would go to the skate park, and now I can't. And trying to find something that I could get any form of that, And a buddy of mine, he's in the process of moving, and he had a drum set, and he was like, "Can I keep the drum set at your house?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, you can leave it here, fine." Like, and we set it up, and I was able to get myself over to the throne. That's like what you would sit on before you start playing. And then I was able to get down in a position. I was able to sit on this throne, and I was kind of able to, I was just sitting down there, and I picked up his sticks, and I was just kind of playing around, and I was like, whoa, this isn't like completely killing me. I've always been interested in the drums as a kid growing up, but kind of family situation with not a lot of funds and the noise factor, whatever. I'm a 30-year-old man at this point with my own house. I'm like, I could play whatever the fuck I want. Like, we can be loud now. So that's kind of how that started. And I wanted to learn. Kind of music's always been a thing that I appreciate. Like, part of skateboarding, you would always have like your favorite songs in and kind of skating to your own songs. And I was like, okay, like maybe this can be an outlet for me potentially. And did online courses, started learning like music theory based on drums, and learning what's called rudiments, kind of like how we use our drum strokes. And I started kind of putting together, I would relate the rudiments I was playing to skateboarding, certain tricks. It'd be like a pop shove it is a certain flat ground trick that you would do. And I'm like, well, if I do like a drum roll like this and I hit this cymbal, that's a pop shove it for me. And I started just like really using that as my leverage to just my interest continued to rise with drumming, and just continued kind of just doing that. And then it was also a good baseline. I'd be able to tell throughout the day, like how bad my right side is today based on like
Yeah.
my right foot. Cause like you start outside of your hands, you're using both your feet, you're using your right foot, you're using your left foot, and isolating those feet to make a beat on something. That was kind of a telltale for me. Like, okay, if I can go up there and I can do a couple of grooves and my right foot is responding the way I want it to, we're probably gonna have a good day. Like, this is good. And then trying to find the balance in sitting for too long, because I was there before. I'd sit way too long, try to stand up, and it's like, oh fuck, give me the walker. Like, I can't get up now. So, but that was a part of the process too that it was a big escape for me, and no rules, and that was a big. That's kind of where the drumming kind of played into it. So just a way to express myself and the things that are in here that, at the time maybe I didn't know how to release. That was the way to release them.
Letting go of things is a very important thing for life.
Yes.
I learned that at an early age, is learn to accept and just go with it, let go of it. And, the only one that can bring the past to the present is yourself, right?
Absolutely. And that moment with the Styx Maynard is that in a nutshell for me, and I'll carry that for the rest of my life. And that's exactly what it was for me. Yeah. Just what you said there. I was forced in a position where I had to learn that, and it's a simple concept. But when you live it and it happens, it completely changes your outlook on everything.
It's said than done, isn't it?
It is. It truly is. So that's kind of how the drumming was kind of mixed in with the whole discussion here.
Yeah, you really.
It's my skateboarding now, essentially.
Yeah, it's just skateboarding. Yeah, it's a good release though. Music's all around everyone all the time, especially like you take the big shop there in Sparwood, man. That's massive. The thing's got extra radio pumps for the entire shop.
Yeah, pretty nice facility. Hey, it's pretty unreal. I'm pretty fortunate to be a part of that operation right now. I'm very proud of it.
That's kind of cool, because you did speak very highly of Elk Valley Resources when I spoke with you. That you were 11 months before you touched foot on a machine again.
It was, yeah.
So any tradesman knows that those machines almost become your life and become your identity sometimes for some people.
Yes.
To have that stripped from you in such a fucking precarious way, nothing beyond your control, right? It's not something that you created. A lot of times I've seen over the years that people create their own problems, get themselves fired and stuff like that. That's not what happened to you. You were just dealt a shitty hand in life.
Yeah, and I've learned to just like bluff my hand, because like that's just it. You get dealt the cards you get in life, and you can either get pissed off at them and point the finger at everyone around you for giving this to you, but like you can also learn how to bluff your way through a win, and that's kind of how I'm living life these days. Just putting my cards out there all the time, not ashamed of them anymore.
So Oak Valley saw in you something well worth keeping, and they found a different talent that you have, or ability that you have, right? So what are you doing now in the shop?
Yeah, so I returned to work, about 11 months after, and a lot had changed from when I got sick to when I returned. So previous to returning, I was on the shovel crew. It was just a crew of like, we had about 4 mechanics, like 2 welders. Yeah. We had a crane operator, some support guys, like, and then me. And they would put out 2. Yeah, I was the electrician. Yeah, I was the electrician. It was kind of like a one-man kind of thing. They would put out guys for certain jobs, but for the most part, yeah, that was kind of our crew.
Yeah.
I was in there between September till about midway through December-ish.
Yeah.
And there was an incident on work. I was trying to get down to one of our skid shacks. I had to disconnect power, from the shovel, and that the disconnect was also shared with a drill on site. I had to go get clearance from this drill operator to turn power back on, and he wasn't answering his radio or whatever. So I pulled up right to his drill in my pickup truck and got out, and I flagged him down and I waved at him. I says, "Hey, I'm just getting your clearance right now. I'm going to go turn this on, eh?" And so he says, "Yeah, go ahead." And I took the pickup truck and I drove forward into like a blast kind of, he had a bunch of holes that he was working on, and it wasn't flagging nothing. I was able to drive through, and misjudged entirely the surface of what I was driving into, and I didn't get very far, and all of a sudden my truck just sits into there was a bunch of water in there, and my truck was stuck. And I did have a partner this day. I should have radioed him and says, "Hey Brad, can you please come and get in this truck while we try to pull it out?" I had this sense of ego, and I was all like, "Oh, I'm strong enough to be here. My core is stronger than it's ever been. Like I can sit in this truck while Pit Utility pulls me out 100%. And Pit Utility come, they just had another pickup, and they tried to back me up, And so as soon as they pulled my truck back, I got flared up immediately. Legs started doing what they were doing previous to all this. I'm now just stuck in the pit with my legs just completely seizing up. And, that was a really big moment. It was a hard moment for me to just like sit in. And then on top of that, now I'm like stuck up here, and what have I just created? Like I created just a big shit show. Ended up going home, and we came back, and basically the bosses were basically just like, "Jeffrey, like maybe this isn't for you right now. Like maybe we got to look into something else." So, I had to. And so now I am kind of working on like telemetry systems, big computers that we put on the top of the cabs of the haul trucks and auxiliary equipment like dozers and loaders, essentially just tapping into the computer of the actual equipment, and it's sending data like faults that it's having, specifically engine faults and like brake faults. They're sending them now to guys in an office to verify what faults are happening, because at our mine too, we are like almost fully autonomous. So meaning there's no operators in the trucks that we're working on. And so there's less guys out there to tell you what faults are happening. And for production purposes, they wanted, if the truck goes down in a fault that isn't necessarily like make or break, they want the ability to basically like, like bypass it and let them go. So that's kind of part of the process that I'm on right now. Installing what's called tire sense. We have these modules in each tire that tells you how much pressure is in them, what shape they're in.
Pressure.
Also, all that stuff. And then also installing like LTE and Wi-Fi kits onto these trucks, because it's a completely different position than what I had signed up for. I was so proud of myself for getting to the heart of the mine when I got out there, and I had I seen this window of opportunity to specialize in two of the coolest equipment that I've ever been a part of. And I was literally at a point in my career where I was like, I can do this for the rest of my career, like 30 years. Let's go. And it was stripped away from me shortly after attaining it. So later on that year, this would have been in 23 now. It all came like hitting me in a mental way that I never really saw. Like I didn't really predict how mentally drained I was from it. Like I started becoming very bitter on site, just pissed off that some of the other guys are having to go out there and get all coal dusted up, and just now I'm just walking with a little cart to a haul truck, and I'm dealing with low voltage cabling like coax cable and Cat 6, 24 volt systems. I'm like, what is going on?
You're like a computer Yoda now, though. You know what I mean? Like,
well, here's the thing, Maynard, is like
you're the guy that's thinking software and you're thinking hardware. A lot of guys can't even grasp interfacing.
Well,
I'm an auto guy, so I see all this shit in that industry, right?
Fair.
And not everybody can grasp that, Jeff.
No, and I mean, I still have my limitations on what I've been taught and what I've been learning, but I have a lot of walls in my way too, because like a lot of the programming stuff, we have IT guys that do that.
Yeah.
They address all the computer geek stuff. Then they just give me the equipment and they say, Jeffrey, this is where you got to put it on. Go find the power.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just the Goomba kind of middleman where I'm just like, they do all the cool work. I just kind of install and then maintain it from that point.
Yeah.
But you know, so it did hit me like a brick shit house, like, and we had some things going on in my family life, and I ultimately completely broke mentally within the first year of being back there. And it was around, I would say, September or October of 2023 is when I had to take a seat out. I went to my HR representative, let her kind of know without any filters what's going on in my life. And she had told me straight to my face, you can't be here. Like, you need to address this now. They sent me, our company has this thing called Mind Beacon. And that's basically just a card of Teladoc, and it gives you, there's resources that the company had offered specifically for mental health. And so I jumped on it, gave it a go, and went from kind of balancing the physical part of my life to now facing the music of the mental strain that it all encompassed, and took my time with meeting psychiatrists and counselors, doing different forms of counseling, and even got to the point where I started looking into medications for things, and met a psychiatrist who kind of diagnosed me with some things, and I'm still kind of in the process of all this still.
Working through it, but life is full of that. Like, life is not perfect, and sometimes it gets pretty dark and pretty confusing, where you need that person to, hey, show you the way. And
that's the
big thing from a psychiatrist perspective, is they can take a third person perspective on things, take an overview as to what's happening in your world, and give you a better direction to go. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely no shame in that. I'll tell you a funny story. I did a podcast episode with him, Rob Hilditch, and he has a website called Social Chemistry, and it helps people with mental issues, guys in particular is what he started focusing on, and giving them resources to deal with their problems instead of taking their lives. Rob was the business manager for a franchise I bought in Calgary. Joey's Only Seafood. He was a business manager. And when I started podcasting, one of his social chemistry things popped up my TikTok feed, and I sent him a message to say, hey, it's pretty interesting. We'd like to do an episode with it. Hey, Maynard, how you doing? I didn't even realize it. It was Rob that I dealt with 6 years earlier, right?
Cool.
And he contained a lot of his self-doubts, self-fears, and problems. And he attempted to take his life, and he failed. And that was a turning point for him. When his dad pulled him out and got him married again. But he helps a lot of people, and that's the thing, is that when you take a look at any moment in time, we have things that happen to us that, can fucking spin you one way or another. And that's where professionals come in. It's no different than someone's fucking put something in their house and they're fucking near burn it down. They got to call you to sort out the mess.
Fair.
Right? It's no different. It's no different than you do something on your car and you got to call me to figure it out. Right? Same thing. We have things happen in our lives that we need professionals that help us sort our way through it.
I agree.
On the other side of that, there's usually greatness. There's that silver lining in every cloud type of thing. Once you get past those, that's where you're at now. You're moving in that direction, right? And
yes.
With a chance happening of us in the shop, there's, like, I told you what I'm doing, my personal role, getting ready for retirement.
Yes.
Your story's fucking brutally powerful, man. Brutally powerful, and it can be a map, a guidance, or that light of hope for others. And like, I encourage you to shop, and I'll encourage you again here now, is to share that message and give others that hope. Your path is a dream for some people out there right now. No, it's hard to believe, but it is what it is.
Really appreciate hearing that. Thank you so much, man.
it's pretty well. It's just not everybody can go the path that you went. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody has.
Fair.
The same token, some people need that hope and that inspiration. That's where you can focus on. So what I'm gonna do with my buddy Jeff here is I'm gonna throw on a use AI out the yin yang, get him to write a book and start getting on a speaking tour probably in a couple of years here and helping others out with his message and his story. His story is that powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's outside of the drumming, kind of music and the skateboarding thing. Like I kind of touched base with you too, there, Maynard. Like you try to focus on where I'm at in my life now. What does the future look like for my career? Like, and throughout a lot of this journey too, I've kind of accepted that my voice, when I talk to people and I share my story, like my voice does seem to strike certain feelings. And so like I've been kind of looking into the possibility of building up like somewhat of a portfolio to just utilize that, like even if it's like something like announcing weddings, like emceeing, announcing. I have this idea of like my girlfriend also, she does mixed martial arts, and
Yeah.
I thought it'd be so cool to be able to like have the mic in the ring and announce the fighters, like
Yeah.
maybe the mustache. I've been developing the look allegedly, maybe, and I'm just like, that could be something that I could sustain even with a bit of a limp, it's just so that really awesome to hear you say that. I really appreciate it, that the timing of everything of us meeting here. It's incredible when you live your life on certain morals and you go through certain losses and you find what drives you day to day, and you kind of just live with unconditional love with yourself and through others.
Yeah.
It's incredible the opportunities that start to unfold and the people that you kind of, let's say, attract, the opportunities and the people that you meet just completely flip side. It's really, it's amazing. And I don't do enough reading on certain things, but I've just chosen a certain path after that stick situation, and it's brought me nothing but happiness. And I take the bad days as they are, and I try to learn from them now, because that's the thing, is it's not perfect. The life is just this constant curve, and it's up to us to understand that we can only control what we have today. And it's easy said, easy kind of thought, but to really maintain your discipline on it and stay accountable for like that type of statement, it's incredible how fast everything starts to kind of climb. And even when it starts to go down, like it's just a couple of steps, and it's incredible. I'm just looking forward to continuing my journey.
Without the downs, you don't know what an up is anyway.
No, yeah, you learn to kind of let go of expectations in a way too.
You your entire life in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, you've never fucking challenged the mountain.
There, right? Yes, yeah.
That's just the way it is, right? It's just win-win. So, yeah, you said something though that kind of struck me in the shop there when we're talking about teams, and we both love shovels. We both love teams. Like shovels is our jam. I'm in the truck shop. And it's not shovels, it's fixing shit. I don't mind fixing shit, but so you were just realizing that 34, maybe a solid team, is one of the key aspects of your life, right?
Yeah.
But your definition of a team has changed quite a bit too, right?
It has changed a lot, yes. And
so what's your definition of a team?
Well, I think there's like there's a few different teams that I think are important to carry with you. One being like the team that you have at work, and then two, the team that you have outside of work. And I never, like being a skateboarder, like I said, I kind of isolated myself from that process. And in a lot of the companies that I've worked for throughout the years, from day one, getting indentured as an electrician, it's just like sink or swim. There you go. Like, and with that mentality, the back of my head, I was like, well, if it's just sink and swim, like I'm not going to ask the appropriate questions to certain people. And I'm just going to, when someone speaks to me is when I will speak, and kind of limited myself on understanding like, hey, if we just work together, like we can get results done a lot quicker. And so a lot of companies that I've been with, I never really had that sense inside of me.
Yeah.
But like, once I went out and I met up with the physiotherapist, my sport therapist, my counselor, my partner, Megan, I was developing a team of support that were bringing me results outside of the hard work I was putting in. I met there's all these professional people that taken their time in their life to help me, and I'm starting to realize, like that's part of my team. I also have friends that friends throughout the journey that really shared their support.
Yeah.
And you start to weed out like who you thought were a friend, and you start looking at that friend as, no, this is more than just that. Like, this is my family, this is my team. And then being at work as well, with my mental health kind of collapsed there, the boys that I work with, they went out of their way throughout those months of like reaching out and asking me how I'm doing. Just completely separated the job that they're doing with the people that
reach out of genuine concern. That's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Very powerful. And just with these men that I work with for 4 days on, see them for a decent amount of time, like them reaching out and showing their support, and then sharing with me the support in the shops as I cruise around and stuff, like, has just become extremely meaningful to me and extremely powerful. And it's like, when we're in a position where we're potentially going to be there for the rest of our career, like, you have to have that good team. And I'm very blessed outside of the AB electrical crew. Like, shout out to all of those boys, incredible, great electricians. Outside of them, like, we also have like the weld shop, light vehicle mechanics, the truck shop that you and I met in, that there's a team of electricians and mechanics, welders, the sorts. The support that I get from this mine is incredible. Like, I shout out to every one of those guys in there that I work with and see they are truly a team of mine that I will carry forever. And they also help me stay grounded and motivated on my path. And that it is weird, because like up until that point, like when I was on Shovel Crew in 2021, and I started in 2018, I was by myself. I was the electrician, and I have mechanics and welders and stuff. So it's like, sure, I could lend a hand to the mechanics when they needed it, but like, being alone, I didn't really have that sense of team as much as I do now. And finding it 11 years into my career has been a total game changer, because it's like, I reached a point with my mental health where it's like, sure, I could not be on site. I could be just dwelling at home, stewed up in my thoughts, but like the support that they offer there on their own time is incredible. And I almost find more joy in going to work these days than I do on my days off.
Thoughts can be pure poison, and it can be pure power. That's
Yes.
a double-edged sword. So if you could give one piece of advice if someone's going through shit city in their life, what would it be?
I would like to say that your moment's coming. If your front yard is filled with sticks, maybe give yourself a favor and just accomplish that feat. The little things matter in life. The little goals that we set for ourselves throughout the day that we achieve are going to build the foundation of your future. And like, just allow yourself the grace every day to just accept the bullshit and just know that you're going to get through this. And if you stay focused and present and like more happy, it's going to be so much better tomorrow. Like, set yourself up for tomorrow, but live for today.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
That's good. That's good advice, man. That's the way I start my day every day, knowing there's going to be obstacles.
Yes.
Right? And I accept that as a fact. That's just the way life is. There's always going to be some type of obstacle, but the way I perceive things is, if I'm not hitting an obstacle, I'm not moving forward.
Yeah, there's a cool quote that I kind of live off of too. Like greatness never comes from comfort zones. So if you're in a day and you're too comfortable in your day, maybe greatness isn't like on that bucket list, that checklist of that day. Like maybe challenge yourself, get a little uncomfortable, even if it means like an odd conversation with somebody, or paying it forward. Maybe bucking, if you're in the Timmy's lineup, buy the person behind you coffee, like whatever. Like do
something different.
Do something different. Get out of your comfort zone, and results will come out of them.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Well, my friend, I'm going to shut down the episode with that. That's really good advice for everybody. So once again, yeah, it's so good. We're going to be talking a lot in the future.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking really forward to continuing this, and I can't thank you enough. And the world is an amazing place.
I'd like to have you back on the show again in a year's time, just so you can use this as a measuring point.
Yeah, let's see how big the stash gets, eh?
Yeah, I see good things coming for you, my friend. I see good things coming.
I really appreciate it, Maynard. Yeah. It's a wonderful opportunity. Can't thank you enough, man.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm going to shut this down. We're going to keep talking behind the scenes. Once again, guys, follow the podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. And the only thing you'll see on the social medias is just little quick clips from Opus, which is an AI software where I take the highlighted reels and put them out there with a link down to our channel. So once again, thanks for the support. Jeff, thank you so much for coming in today, man. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you. And
I thought it was going to be a really tough session because we're into some tender topics here, but I really appreciate your time and your honesty, man. If anybody is looking for help with mental health issues, touch base with me and I'll put you in touch with Rob Hilditch from Social Chemistry. Really cool guy, and he has a lot of resources that can help you, and very effective resources as well too at no cost. So once again, thanks for following the show. Jeff, don't go away. We got more talk to do.
I'll stick around, man.
You bet. All right. Okay,
thanks for hearing me, everybody.